If you care about accountability, about whether our institutions actually work when powerful people are involved, subscribe to this channel right now. What emerged from a federal courthouse in Manhattan this morning isn't just disturbing, it's a complete abdication of justice hiding in plain sight. At 9:23 this morning, during discovery proceedings in a civil case involving Epstein estate claims, a Department of Justice attorney made an admission under oath that stopped the courtroom cold. When asked how many of the 3,200 evidentiary files from the Epstein investigation have been fully reviewed by the Department of Justice, the answer was 27. 27 files out of 3,200. That is 0.84%, less than 1%. We are not talking about a recent case. Epstein was arrested in July 2019. Maxwell's trial concluded in December 2021. We are now in February 2026. 6 years, and the DOJ has reviewed less than 1% of the evidence. Let me walk you through what happened, because the details matter. Attorney Sarah Feldman, representing victims, questioned DOJ Representative Michael Chen. The exchange is now part of the official record. Sarah Feldman asked Mr. Chen how many Epstein investigation files have been reviewed in their entirety by DOJ personnel. Chen paused. He consulted with his attorney, and he answered that to date approximately 27 files have undergone complete review. Feldman then asked how many total files exist. Chen replied that the current inventory lists 3,197 distinct evidentiary files. Feldman let the silence sit. She asked if the Department of Justice has fully reviewed less than 1% of the evidence in one of the most high-profile criminal investigations in American history. Chen answered that is accurate, yes. Think about what is in those files. Flight logs showing who traveled on Epstein's planes. Financial records. Phone logs. Emails, photographs, videos. Witness statements from victims and employees. Property records from his estates in New York, Palm Beach, New Mexico, and Paris. Bank statements showing payments to dozens of individuals, and the DOJ has looked at only 27 of them. If you're finding this alarming, hit that like button, because this gets worse. Feldman asked why, after 6 years, the Department of Justice has reviewed such a small fraction. Chen responded that resource allocation decisions are based on prosecutorial priorities. With the principal defendants deceased or convicted, the investigation was scaled back. Feldman pressed, so the Department of Justice decided there was nothing actionable in 99% of the files without reviewing them. Chen said investigative resources were redirected based on the status of the primary targets. Feldman then produced a document, an internal Department of Justice memo from November 2021, directing investigators to deprioritize the Epstein file review. The memo said, given the sensitivity of certain materials and potential impact on ongoing matters, a comprehensive review timeline will be established by senior leadership. Feldman asked Mr. Chen if that timeline had been established. Chen said not to his knowledge. Feldman asked, so for 4 years, thousands of files involving child sex trafficking have been sitting unreviewed because leadership never established a timeline? Chen's jaw tightened. He said the files are secure and access protocols exist, but nobody is looking at them. Prioritization decisions are above his authority level. Here is why this matters. The Epstein case is not finished. Yes, Epstein is dead. Yes, Maxwell is incarcerated. But this was a network. There were enablers, accomplices, potentially co-conspirators. Those names are in those files. The evidence that could implicate other powerful individuals is sitting in the custody of the Department of Justice, unexamined. Feldman pressed further. She asked, of the 3,170 unreviewed files, has the Department of Justice conducted even a preliminary assessment? A Department of Justice representative said a preliminary cataloging was completed in 2020. Feldman pushed back. She said that a cataloging is not a review, and she asked if anyone had actually opened those files. Not to my knowledge, no. Thousands of documents potentially containing names, evidence, connections. Nobody has looked. The 27 reviewed files focused on Epstein's finances and Maxwell's direct involvement. Files on associates, social circle, business partners, visitors to his properties. Those remain untouched. When Feldman asked if files on high-profile individuals had been reviewed, Chen declined to answer, citing ongoing matters. But there are no ongoing prosecutions. What matters could justify keeping thousands of files unexamined. Is the Department of Justice protecting anyone? Feldman asked. Chen's attorneys objected, but the question hung there. Then Feldman introduced another document, an email from March 2022 between Department of Justice officials. A senior attorney, name redacted, wrote that given the profile of certain individuals referenced in the unreviewed materials, we should coordinate with Main Justice before proceeding. Main Justice, Department of Justice headquarters, the highest levels. The email suggests field investigators needed approval from leadership before reviewing files that implicated certain people. That approval never came. Does this email indicate files were flagged because they referenced high-profile individuals? Feldman asked. I cannot speak to the intent, Chen replied, but the email is authentic. It is part of the case file, yes. And after this email, the review was never initiated, Feldman asked. Chen hesitated. That appears consistent with the timeline. So, in March 2022, someone flagged files referencing high-profile people. Someone said coordinate with Washington first, and then nothing happened. Former prosecutor Andrew McCarthy told Fox News that when you see less than 1% reviewed in a case this big, that is not resource constraints. That is a decision. Someone decided these files would not be examined, and that decision was made high enough that 6 years later, nobody has overruled it. This is not incompetence. According to experienced prosecutors, this is a choice. If this matters to you, share this video now. The algorithm decides what spreads. The Department of Justice issued a statement emphasizing complexity and a commitment to justice. Notice what it did not say. It did not dispute the numbers. It did not announce plans to accelerate the review. It did not explain why almost nothing has been examined in 6 years. Victims' advocates responded immediately, demanding that the Department of Justice complete the review within 6 months or turn materials over to an independent prosecutor. They are calling for congressional hearings. Then things got interesting. Within hours, reports emerged that the FBI's New York office had quietly reassigned personnel who had been working Epstein-related matters. There was no public announcement, just internal reassignments that agents leaked to journalists. One former FBI agent told ProPublica anonymously that the message was clear. This case is over. Move on. Anyone who pushed to keep investigating was reassigned or marginalized. The institutional pressure to let this die was intense. Those 3,200 files contain flight manifests, financial records, communications, property logs, and witness statements. All preserved, cataloged, and sitting in custody. The Department of Justice's position is that examining this evidence is not a priority. That position has held for 6 years despite victims demanding answers. Think about Department of Justice resources dedicated to far less significant cases. Drug conspiracies generate thousands of agent hours. And yet, a child sex trafficking network involving a billionaire connected to presidents, princes, scientists, and entertainers has produced only 27 files that were fully reviewed. That is less than 1%. Sarah Feldman told reporters outside the courthouse. She said, "My clients have been told for years that justice is coming. Today they learned the Department of Justice has reviewed less than 1% of the evidence. Files potentially identifying other perpetrators sit unopened. The priorities of the Department of Justice do not include getting them justice." Within hours, Senator Ron Wyden announced he would request a GAO investigation. Senator Mike Lee issued his own statement expressing concern. When senators from opposite political ends both ask questions, something significant is happening. Subscribe because we are staying on this. When the GAO investigation begins, when victims file additional motions, when these files finally get examined, we will cover it. The question is simple. Either the Department of Justice has legitimate reasons for not reviewing this evidence, or they do not. If they do, explain publicly. If they do not, conduct the review immediately. Anything else is unacceptable. Those 3,200 files represent 6 years of unanswered questions. Victims who do not know the full extent of who participated in their abuse. Potential justice delayed to the point of denial. And a system that appears more concerned with protecting powerful people than exposing them. Victims are demanding action. Senators are asking questions. Journalists are investigating. And the Department of Justice's position that less than 1% review is acceptable is no longer defensible. Like this video, share it. Comment what you think is really happening. This conversation needs to reach everyone who believes evidence should be examined and victims deserve truth. 27 files out of 3,200. Less than 1%. 6 years. That's not justice, that's not transparency, that's not acceptable, and the only way this changes is if enough people refuse to let it be forgotten. The cracks are forming. When this breaks, when someone forces the DOJ to examine what they've been sitting on, you'll want to be here. Subscribe now. This is far from over.